The night of November 12, 1942 began with deceptive calm across the waters surrounding Guadalcanal. Admiral Hiroaki Abe stood on the bridge of battleship Hiei, scanning the darkness through binoculars. The Imperial Japanese Navy had dominated night fighting throughout the Pacific War. Superior training in night combat tactics gave Japanese forces decisive advantages over American opponents. But this November evening would introduce a technological revolution that would change naval warfare forever. Lieutenant Commander Takeshi Yamamoto adjusted his position at the forward lookout post aboard heavy cruiser Kirishima. The Third Fleet had steamed south from Truk Atoll carrying 13,000 troops for the final assault on Henderson Field. Japanese forces controlled the waters around Guadalcanal after sunset. American ships retreated to safer positions each evening, abandoning the contested waters to Imperial Navy forces. The Japanese bombardment force consisted of 2 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser, and 14 destroyers. Hiei and Kirishima carried Type 91 armor-piercing shells specifically designed for shore bombardment missions. Each battleship could deliver devastating firepower against American positions on Guadalcanal. The planned bombardment would destroy Henderson Field and eliminate American air power in the Solomon Islands. Captain Tanaka Reizo commanded destroyer Akatsuki in the van of the Japanese formation. His ship carried the most experienced night fighting crew in the Imperial Navy. Previous engagements had demonstrated Japanese superiority in nocturnal combat operations. American forces consistently withdrew when darkness fell, conceding control of the seas to Japanese commanders. Unknown to the approaching Japanese force, Task Force 67 waited in the darkness ahead. Rear Admiral Daniel Callahan commanded 5 cruisers and 8 destroyers positioned between Cape Esperance and Savo Island. His flagship, heavy cruiser San Francisco, carried the most advanced radar system ever deployed in combat operations. The SG surface search radar could detect enemy ships at ranges exceeding 20,000 yards. Lieutenant Robert Martinez operated the SG radar console aboard San Francisco. The green scope painted precise images of approaching contacts. 13 distinct targets appeared on his screen, approaching from the northwest at high speed. The radar system provided exact range, bearing, and course information for each enemy vessel. This technological advantage would prove decisive in the coming engagement. Admiral Callahan received radar contact reports at 0124 hours on November 13. The Japanese force was steaming directly toward Henderson Field at 18 knots. Without radar guidance, the enemy would not detect American ships until visual range. This gave Task Force 67 enormous tactical advantages in positioning and fire control systems. Commander Bruce McCandless studied the radar plot aboard San Francisco. 14 American ships formed a column between the Japanese force and Guadalcanal. Heavy cruisers San Francisco and Portland anchored the center of the formation. Light cruisers Helena, Atlanta, and Juno provided additional firepower. 8 destroyers screened the larger vessels while maintaining torpedo attack positions. The Japanese formation continued its approach without detecting American forces. Admiral Abe expected no opposition during the night bombardment mission. Previous intelligence reports indicated that American ships consistently withdrew from contested waters after sunset. Japanese commanders possessed complete confidence in their night fighting superiority over American opponents. Destroyer Akatsuki led the Japanese column at 24 knots toward the planned bombardment position. Captain Tanaka maintained strict radio silence while scanning the horizon through powerful optical equipment. His lookouts represented the finest night vision specialists in the Imperial Navy. Yet none detected the American ships waiting in the darkness ahead. Lieutenant Martinez tracked the approaching enemy formation with growing precision. The SG radar provided continuous updates on Japanese ship movements. Range decreased steadily as both forces converged on the narrow waters between Savo Island and Cape Esperance. The radar advantage would soon translate into devastating firepower superiority for American forces. Admiral Callahan ordered his ships to prepare for surface action at 0130 hours. Gun crews loaded armor-piercing shells while torpedo rooms prepared weapons for immediate firing. The American formation maintained perfect radio silence while radar systems tracked every movement of the approaching Japanese force. This technological edge provided unprecedented tactical advantages. Heavy cruiser Helena carried the newest Mark 8 fire control radar system linked directly to her main battery turrets. Lieutenant Commander James Wilson operated the radar-guided gunnery system with deadly precision. The Mark 8 could track multiple targets simultaneously while computing firing solutions automatically. Japanese ships would face accurate gunfire from ranges previously impossible in night combat. Commander William Cole aboard light cruiser Atlanta studied the tactical situation developing on his radar screen. The Japanese formation was approaching the perfect position for devastating crossfire from American ships. Radar guidance allowed precise coordination between multiple vessels without visual contact or radio communication. This represented a revolution in naval combat tactics. The two fleets closed to 18,000 yards at 0141 hours without Japanese forces detecting American ships. Admiral Abe continued his approach toward Henderson Field, completely unaware of the enemy formation blocking his path. The radar advantage would soon become apparent in the most violent naval engagement of the Guadalcanal campaign. Destroyer Laffey detected the Japanese formation at extreme visual range as searchlights swept the water ahead. Lieutenant Commander William Hank immediately reported enemy contacts to Admiral Callahan aboard San Francisco. The American formation had achieved perfect positioning through radar guidance while Japanese forces remained blind to the approaching engagement. Captain Tanaka aboard Akatsuki finally detected American ships at 3,000 yards range. The sudden appearance of enemy vessels caught Japanese commanders completely by surprise. Previous night engagements had always favored Japanese forces through superior optical equipment and training. The presence of American ships in these waters defied all tactical expectations. Admiral Abe ordered emergency course changes as his formation encountered unexpected resistance. The Japanese battleships required several minutes to alter course while maintaining formation integrity. American radar operators tracked every movement with perfect precision, updating firing solutions continuously. The technological advantage was about to become decisive. Heavy cruiser San Francisco opened fire at 0150 hours with radar-directed salvos against battleship Hiei. The Mark 8 fire control system computed perfect firing solutions based on continuous radar tracking. Japanese ships faced accurate gunfire from ranges where their optical systems remained ineffective. This represented the first radar-controlled naval engagement in history. Lieutenant Martinez watched his radar screen as American shells struck Hiei with devastating accuracy. The battleship suffered multiple hits from the opening salvo, damaging her superstructure and fire control systems. Japanese return fire scattered wildly due to inadequate target acquisition in the darkness. The radar advantage proved overwhelming from the first exchange. Light cruiser Helena engaged heavy cruiser Kirishima with rapid fire from her 6-inch main battery. The Mark 8 radar system provided continuous updates on target movement and range. Japanese optical fire control systems could not match the precision of radar-guided gunnery. Kirishima suffered severe damage within minutes of the engagement opening. Destroyer Akatsuki attempted to close range for torpedo attack but faced concentrated fire from multiple American ships. Captain Tanaka had achieved legendary status through previous night combat victories. However, his optical advantage had been neutralized by American radar systems. The destroyer suffered critical hits that disabled her propulsion and steering systems. Admiral Callahan coordinated the American attack through radar-guided tactical control. His ships maintained perfect formation while delivering devastating firepower against confused Japanese opponents. The SG surface search radar provided complete situational awareness throughout the chaotic night engagement. This technological superiority proved decisive in achieving tactical victory. The Japanese formation disintegrated under accurate American gunfire directed by radar systems. Battleship Hiei suffered flooding in multiple compartments while her main battery turrets sustained direct hits. Heavy cruiser Kirishima lost propulsion power and began falling behind the retreating formation. The radar advantage had reversed traditional night combat superiority. Commander McCandless aboard San Francisco observed the Japanese retreat through radar tracking systems. Enemy ships scattered in multiple directions while attempting to escape American firepower. The SG radar maintained contact with fleeing vessels at ranges where optical systems provided no information. This engagement demonstrated the revolutionary impact of radar technology on naval warfare. Lieutenant Commander Wilson continued engaging Japanese ships with radar-directed fire control. The Mark 8 system tracked multiple targets while computing firing solutions automatically. Japanese forces had lost their traditional advantage in night combat through technological innovation by American industry. The balance of naval power in the Pacific was shifting dramatically. Destroyer Laffey pursued retreating Japanese vessels using radar guidance for navigation and target acquisition. Lieutenant Commander Hank maintained contact with enemy ships despite complete darkness and weather conditions. Traditional Japanese tactics relied on visual contact and superior training. American radar systems eliminated these advantages through technological superiority. Heavy cruiser Portland engaged damaged Japanese ships attempting to escape toward Truk Atoll. Captain Lawrence Dubose used radar information to coordinate attacks with other American vessels. The integrated fire control system provided unprecedented accuracy in night combat conditions. Japanese ships faced destruction from weapons they could not see or effectively counter. Admiral Abe aboard Hiei struggled to coordinate Japanese forces without effective communication or situational awareness. American radar systems provided complete tactical information while Japanese commanders operated blindly in the darkness. The technological gap between the two navies had become decisive in determining battle outcomes. Light cruiser Juno delivered devastating fire against destroyer Akatsuki using radar-guided gunnery systems. The Japanese vessel exploded in a massive fireball that illuminated the entire battle area. Captain Tanaka and his entire crew perished in the destruction of their ship. The most experienced night fighting unit in the Imperial Navy had been eliminated by radar-directed American firepower. The engagement lasted 42 minutes before Japanese forces completed their withdrawal. Battleship Hiei suffered critical damage that would prove fatal within hours. Heavy cruiser Kirishima barely escaped with severe flooding and damaged propulsion systems. The Japanese bombardment mission had failed completely due to American radar technology. Task Force 67 achieved tactical victory through radar-guided coordination and fire control. Admiral Callahan had demonstrated the decisive impact of technological innovation on naval combat. Japanese night fighting superiority had been neutralized by American engineering advances. The Battle of Guadalcanal marked the beginning of radar warfare in the Pacific theater. Lieutenant Martinez secured his SG radar system as dawn approached over the Solomon Islands. The green scope had provided the technological edge that enabled American victory. Japanese forces retreated toward Truk Atoll with devastating losses and failed objectives. The radar advantage would only increase as more advanced systems entered American service. Commander Cole aboard Atlanta assessed the battle damage inflicted on Japanese forces. Radar tracking indicated that multiple enemy ships had suffered critical hits during the engagement. The technological revolution in naval warfare was accelerating American advantages throughout the Pacific campaign. Japanese traditional tactics could not compete with radar-guided American forces. Heavy cruiser San Francisco sustained moderate damage during the engagement but remained fully operational. Admiral Callahan had proven that radar technology could overcome Japanese night fighting expertise. The SG surface search system and Mark 8 fire control radar represented revolutionary advances in naval warfare capabilities. The Japanese retreat continued throughout the early morning hours of November 13th. Battleship Hiei struggled with progressive flooding while attempting to reach friendly bases. American radar systems tracked the damaged vessels at extreme ranges where visual observation remained impossible. The technological advantage extended far beyond the immediate battle area. Captain Dubose aboard Portland coordinated search operations for additional Japanese forces using radar guidance systems. The SG radar could detect enemy ships at ranges exceeding 25,000 yards in favorable conditions. Japanese forces had lost their ability to operate secretly in contested waters. American technology had eliminated the element of surprise. Lieutenant Commander Hank aboard Laffey pursued damaged Japanese destroyers attempting to escape toward Bougainville. His radar system maintained contact despite deteriorating weather conditions and limited visibility. Traditional Japanese night fighting advantages had been neutralized through American technological innovation. The balance of naval power was shifting decisively. Admiral Abe faced the most devastating defeat in his naval career due to unexpected American capabilities. The radar systems had provided enemy forces with impossible advantages in night combat. Japanese tactical doctrine required complete revision to address this technological revolution. The Imperial Navy could no longer count on night fighting superiority. Heavy cruiser Kirishima barely remained afloat as damage control teams struggled against progressive flooding. Commander Iwabuchi Sanji coordinated emergency repairs while his ship limped toward safety. The radar-guided American attack had inflicted damage beyond the capability of traditional night combat. Japanese engineering could not match American technological advances. Dawn revealed the full extent of Japanese losses to American radar-guided forces. Destroyer Akatsuki had been completely destroyed with no survivors. Battleship Hiei was sinking despite desperate damage control efforts. Multiple other vessels suffered critical damage that would require months of repair work. The technological gap was becoming insurmountable. Lieutenant Wilson aboard Helena analyzed the engagement results while securing his Mark 8 fire control system. The radar-guided gunnery had achieved unprecedented accuracy in night combat conditions. Japanese ships had been unable to respond effectively to weapons they could not see. American industry had provided the tools for decisive naval victory. Task Force 67 reformed after the successful engagement while maintaining radar surveillance of the surrounding waters. Admiral Callahan had demonstrated that technological innovation could overcome traditional Japanese advantages. The SG surface search radar and integrated fire control systems represented the future of naval warfare. Commander McCandless studied after-action reports detailing the effectiveness of radar-guided combat operations. American forces had achieved tactical surprise through technological superiority rather than traditional night fighting skills. The Japanese formation had been defeated by weapons and sensors they could not effectively counter or understand. The strategic implications of radar technology extended far beyond the immediate tactical victory. Japanese naval doctrine was based on night fighting superiority and optical weapons systems. American radar eliminated these advantages while providing unprecedented situational awareness. The Imperial Navy faced technological obsolescence unless rapid countermeasures were developed. Battleship Hiei finally succumbed to progressive flooding at 1,020 hours on November 13. The massive vessel rolled over and sank with significant loss of life. Admiral Abe transferred his flag to a surviving destroyer while contemplating the implications of defeat. Japanese naval supremacy in the Solomon Islands had ended through American radar technology. Captain Tanaka and the crew of destroyer Akatsuki became the first casualties of radar warfare in the Pacific theater. Their destruction demonstrated the devastating effectiveness of radar-guided fire control systems. The most experienced night fighting unit in the Imperial Navy had been eliminated by technology they could not see or counter. Heavy cruiser San Francisco returned to Noumea for repairs and resupply after the successful engagement. Admiral Callahan submitted detailed reports on radar effectiveness to Pacific Fleet headquarters. The technological revolution in naval warfare was accelerating American advantages throughout the theater of operations. Lieutenant Martinez received commendation for his radar operation during the battle. The SG surface search system had provided the tactical intelligence necessary for American victory. Japanese forces could no longer operate with impunity during night hours. The radar advantage was becoming decisive in determining Pacific War outcomes. Commander Wilson aboard Helena analyzed gunnery results achieved through Mark 8 radar fire control. The system had delivered unprecedented accuracy against Japanese targets in night combat conditions. Traditional optical fire control methods could not match radar-guided weapons systems. American technology was revolutionizing naval warfare capabilities. The Japanese withdrawal continued for 3 days as damaged ships struggled toward friendly bases. American radar systems tracked the retreating formation while coordinating air attacks from Henderson Field. The technological advantage extended beyond immediate combat to strategic surveillance and pursuit operations. Light cruiser Atlanta underwent repairs while her crew analyzed the effectiveness of radar-guided combat operations. Commander Cole submitted recommendations for tactical improvements based on the engagement experience. American forces were learning to maximize their technological advantages over Japanese opponents. Admiral Halsey received detailed reports on the radar-guided victory from his headquarters at Noumea. The technological implications were enormous for future Pacific operations. Japanese night fighting superiority had been eliminated through American engineering innovation. The balance of naval power was shifting decisively toward Allied forces. Heavy cruiser Kirishima reached Truk Atoll after 4 days of emergency repairs and careful navigation. The vessel required extensive reconstruction to repair radar-inflicted damage. Japanese shipyards lacked the capacity for rapid repairs given the technological sophistication of American weapons systems. The Imperial Navy was falling behind in the technological arms race. The Battle of Guadalcanal demonstrated that radar technology could overcome traditional Japanese naval advantages. Night fighting expertise and superior optical equipment had been neutralized by American engineering innovation. The SG surface search radar and Mark 8 fire control systems represented revolutionary advances in combat capabilities. Destroyer Laffey returned to Pearl Harbor for advanced radar system upgrades after the successful engagement. Lieutenant Commander Hank provided detailed recommendations for improved radar operations. American forces were rapidly expanding their technological advantages over Japanese opponents throughout the Pacific theater. Captain Dubose aboard Portland coordinated with intelligence analysts to assess the strategic impact of radar warfare. Japanese naval doctrine was based on night combat superiority that had been permanently eliminated. The Imperial Navy required complete tactical revision to address American technological advances. Admiral Abe faced investigation by Imperial Navy headquarters regarding the devastating defeat at Guadalcanal. The radar-guided American attack had shattered Japanese confidence in night fighting capabilities. Traditional tactical advantages had been eliminated through technological innovation beyond Japanese industrial capacity. Lieutenant Commander Wilson received promotion and transfer to advanced radar development programs at Naval Research Laboratory. His combat experience with Mark 8 fire control systems provided valuable data for next-generation weapons. American technology was accelerating beyond Japanese ability to develop countermeasures. The strategic consequences of radar warfare extended throughout the Pacific Campaign. Japanese forces could no longer operate with impunity during night hours. American technology had eliminated traditional Japanese advantages while providing unprecedented tactical capabilities. The balance of naval power was shifting irreversibly. Heavy cruiser San Francisco became the flagship for radar-guided combat operations throughout the Solomon Islands campaign. Admiral Callahan had proven that technology could overcome traditional military advantages. The radar revolution was accelerating American success throughout the Pacific theater of operations. Commander McCandless coordinated radar operator training programs based on combat experience at Guadalcanal. The SG surface search system required specialized skills to maximize its tactical advantages. American forces were rapidly developing expertise with revolutionary technology that Japanese opponents could not match. Task Force 67 established radar-guided patrol operations around Guadalcanal following the successful engagement. Japanese forces attempted night bombardment missions but faced devastating losses to radar-directed American firepower. The technological advantage was becoming insurmountable for Imperial Navy forces. Light cruiser Helena received advanced Mark 22 fire control radar systems for enhanced combat capabilities. The technological evolution was accelerating beyond Japanese ability to develop countermeasures. American industry provided continuous improvements while Japanese forces struggled with obsolete equipment. The radar operators who served during the Battle of Guadalcanal became the foundation for Pacific Fleet technological superiority. Their expertise with revolutionary systems provided decisive advantages throughout subsequent engagements. Japanese forces could not adapt quickly enough to match American technological innovation. Admiral Callahan submitted comprehensive reports on radar effectiveness to Navy Department leadership. The technological implications required strategic planning adjustments throughout the Pacific campaign. American radar advantages were becoming decisive in achieving ultimate victory over Imperial Japan. Battleship Hiei rested on the bottom of Iron Bottom Sound as a monument to the radar revolution in naval warfare. The massive vessel had been destroyed by technology that Japanese forces could not see or effectively counter. American engineering innovation had eliminated traditional Japanese tactical advantages permanently. The Japanese survivors of the Guadalcanal engagement returned to Truk Atoll with sobering reports about American technological capabilities. Radar-guided weapons systems had achieved impossible accuracy in night combat conditions. The Imperial Navy faced technological obsolescence unless dramatic countermeasures were developed rapidly. Captain Tanaka and his crew aboard destroyer Akatsuki became symbols of Japanese vulnerability to American radar technology. Their destruction demonstrated that traditional night fighting expertise could not overcome technological innovation. The balance of naval warfare was shifting toward the side with superior engineering capabilities. Heavy cruiser Kirishima required 6 months of repairs to address damage inflicted by radar-guided American weapons. Japanese shipyards struggled to understand the technological sophistication of enemy systems. The Imperial Navy was falling further behind in the critical technological arms race. Lieutenant Martinez continued radar operations aboard San Francisco throughout the Solomon Islands campaign. His expertise with SG surface search systems provided tactical advantages in every subsequent engagement. Japanese forces could not operate secretly in waters monitored by American radar technology. The technological revolution initiated at Guadalcanal accelerated throughout 1943 as more advanced radar systems entered American service. Japanese forces attempted to develop countermeasures but lacked the industrial capacity for rapid innovation. The radar advantage was becoming insurmountable for Imperial Navy forces. Commander Wilson transferred to radar development programs where his combat experience guided next-generation system design. The Mark 8 fire control radar had proven devastatingly effective against Japanese targets. American technology was evolving beyond Japanese ability to develop adequate countermeasures. Task Force 67 demonstrated that radar technology could overcome any traditional naval advantage through technological superiority. Japanese night fighting expertise had been permanently eliminated by American engineering innovation. The balance of Pacific naval warfare had shifted decisively toward Allied forces. Admiral Halsey expanded radar-guided operations throughout the Pacific theater based on Guadalcanal's success. The technological advantage provided unprecedented tactical capabilities against Japanese opponents. American industry continued developing more advanced systems while Japanese forces struggled with obsolete equipment. The Battle of Guadalcanal marked the beginning of radar warfare as the dominant factor in Pacific naval operations. Japanese traditional advantages had been eliminated through American technological innovation. The SG surface search radar and Mark 8 fire control systems represented revolutionary advances that Japanese industry could not match. Heavy cruiser Portland continued radar-guided patrol operations around Guadalcanal, while Japanese forces attempted unsuccessful night bombardment missions. Captain Dubose coordinated devastating attacks against enemy formations detected by radar systems. The technological advantage was becoming decisive in determining battle outcomes. Light cruiser Atlanta received commendation for radar-guided gunnery effectiveness during the Guadalcanal engagement. Commander Cole had demonstrated that integrated fire control systems could achieve unprecedented accuracy. Japanese forces faced destruction from weapons they could not see or effectively counter. The radar operators of Task Force 67 became legendary figures in Pacific Fleet operations. Their expertise with revolutionary technology provided the foundation for American naval superiority. Japanese forces could not develop adequate countermeasures to match American technological advantages. Admiral Callahan achieved posthumous recognition for proving that radar technology could overcome traditional military advantages. His tactical innovations at Guadalcanal established the principles for radar-guided naval warfare. The technological revolution had permanently altered the balance of Pacific combat operations. Destroyer Laffey continued successful operations throughout the Solomon Islands campaign using radar guidance for navigation and combat. Lieutenant Commander Hank had demonstrated that even smaller vessels could achieve decisive advantages through technological superiority. Japanese forces could not match American radar capabilities. The strategic impact of radar warfare extended far beyond immediate tactical victories. Japanese naval doctrine required complete revision to address American technological advantages. The Imperial Navy faced obsolescence unless dramatic innovations were developed to counter radar-guided weapons systems. Heavy cruiser San Francisco became the symbol of radar-guided naval warfare following the Guadalcanal victory. Admiral Callahan had proven that technology could overcome any traditional military advantage. American engineering innovation was accelerating beyond Japanese ability to develop effective countermeasures. Lieutenant Martinez and the radar operators of Task Force 67 established the foundation for American technological superiority in the Pacific War. Their expertise with revolutionary systems provided decisive advantages that Japanese forces could not match. The radar revolution had permanently altered the nature of naval warfare. The Japanese defeat at Guadalcanal demonstrated that traditional military advantages could be eliminated through technological innovation. Radar-guided American forces had achieved impossible accuracy in night combat conditions. The balance of Pacific naval warfare had shifted irreversibly toward the side with superior engineering capabilities. Commander McCandless coordinated radar development programs based on combat experience at Guadalcanal. American technology was evolving rapidly while Japanese forces struggled with obsolete equipment. The technological gap was becoming insurmountable for Imperial Navy operations. Task Force 67 established the tactical principles for radar-guided naval warfare that would dominate Pacific operations throughout the remainder of World War II. Japanese traditional advantages had been permanently eliminated through American technological innovation. The radar revolution represented the future of naval combat. The men who operated America's first combat radar systems at Guadalcanal became the foundation for Pacific Fleet technological superiority. Their expertise with revolutionary equipment provided decisive advantages that Japanese opponents could never match. The battle marked the beginning of radar warfare as the dominant factor in naval operations. Admiral Callahan and the crews of Task Force 67 achieved tactical victory through technological innovation rather than traditional military advantages. The radar-guided engagement at Guadalcanal demonstrated that American engineering could overcome any Japanese tactical superiority. The balance of Pacific naval warfare had shifted permanently toward Allied forces.